Challenges that have been faced by the business in the past have been inconsistency in rainfall. That's been forever, and I think trying to maintain production through those tighter climatic times, that's a challenge that we're getting better at addressing. I'm David Greig, live at Tottenham in central New South Wales, and we run a mixed farm, winter cropping and merino sheep. Probably the most notable time we've seen a difference was coming out of the drought in early 2020. Our sheep were away on adjustment and it began to rain, and our country began to respond instantly to the rain that year, and we brought our sheep back off adjustment as the grass was growing, and it beat them in most paddocks. We went away from set stocking probably over a decade now, which allows us to rotate around our native country and probably better utilise the feeds that's there. We've introduced new, more robust merino genetics into our business. We then learn a bit management-wise to really drive our production in what's otherwise a reasonably marginal mixed farming area. We went chasing genetics to prevent fly strike. That was the catalyst. So we looked around and came across the plain skin merino type purely for that fly strike factor. Mulesing was more of a sideline to begin with. Our management then was the thing that was probably needed the work. I was involved in a lifetime ewe management group in our area. That really put our focus on looking after the animal, keeping them in a desired condition score throughout the year to allow them to, express their genetic potential. We shear 6 weeks prior to joining. 6 weeks is ample time to get these ewes on a rising plane of nutrition, percentage of them condition scored at shearing, and then we set in place a program to get them into the condition score we want for joining. And then we also shear just before we lamb, and we'll condition score again, and then we'll prioritise our lambing paddocks to those ewes that need the best pasture. Outside the lambing period, we rotate our sheep through the grazing paddocks to better rest the grasses, and utilise the fresher feed through that process. It certainly seems to build the ground cover that we've got. We're lucky enough with rotating sheep through pastures. I don't think we've drenched for 10 years on this place. That takes a lot of the heavy lifting out of the sheep enterprise. It's been small steps since we did that lifetime ewe management course. We're now up to scanning merino ewes at 180% and marking in excess of 140% of lambs to ewes joined. Our lamb survival's up in the 80s. In the twinners, we've run our first triplet lambing this year, which has been quite successful. I'm the person that does the sheep work, so I've got to make it manageable for one person to do. Plainer styled merinos require less management. They're not as susceptible to fly waves, which is a major labour issue. Look, and they're very robust. They respond better to changes in feed. So once lambs have been weaned off ewes, we see an instant response just by moving those ewes into a fresh paddock. We've been selecting for animals that are positive for fat and muscle on breeding values. They're also very strong for growth, and they're also long and in staple length. That all works in with the 6 month shearing. Those strong carcass figures make a very resilient animal. I call them a bulletproof sheep. Our losses out of the system are so low now. We can now forward budget lambing percentages, forward budget lamb turn-off years in advance because the results we're getting are so consistent. Our main enterprise is selling ewes, whether they be first cross ewes to the fat lamb producer or merino ewes that go on to someone either wanting to breed plain body merinos or to produce produce a first cross ewe themselves. The benefits to us is that we've got twice as many of them to sell off the same amount of acres. Yeah, the doubling of lambing percentages in 8 to 10 years. Lamb survival is something that it's integral to our business. You know, we're very hands-off, so I don't do lambing rounds every morning through lambing. In fact, this year I didn't drive into a lambing paddock for the 5 weeks of lambing. We keep no passengers in the program, so every dry ewe gets sold. You know, lamb survival rates in the singles of 98.5% this year. Our twinning survival in the low 80%. The added value of having the non-mules ewes in our system is that we've got wool that's open to a lot more markets. For the first time in my lifetime, I've got people calling me inquiring about purchasing our surplus sheep, or they can see the benefit of those animals as well. The biggest learning is to match the condition score of your ewes to the timing of their reproductive cycle. Yeah, so knowing what condition score your ewes need to be in, or what level of nutrition you need to provide them with leading into joining, and then having them in the right condition score once they're scanned to ensure lamb survival. I always think you need to be the silliest person in the conversation. So find someone who's doing it better than you and talk to them. I think the top producers are happy to share. You've just got to get out there and ask.